Welcome back to the channel. In this lesson, we'll see how to solve a system of 3 by 3 equations using determinants. Also, I'll show you how to derive your determinant using a shortcut method. That said, let's get into class. The first thing we'll do is to change all of these equations into a matrix form so that it begins to look like 2, 3, minus 1, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, minus 5 into x, here's y, z equals 4, 13, and minus 11. Minus 11. Now, to use the shortcut part of the... Now, the next thing we'll now do is to pick the first matrix to get our first determinant. Now, I'll tag that as delta 0, so that will be the determinant of 2, 3, here's 1, 3, 1, 2, minus 1, 2, minus 5. Now, to use the shortcut method, we'll say this is the same thing as 2, 3, 3, 1, 1, 2, minus 1, 2, 5. And I'll repeat the first and the second column. That will be 2, 3, 3, 1, 1, 2. Now, after repeating this column, we have to pick a major diagonals. Let me show you how to pick the major diagonals. If you look at this, 2, 3, and 2 can form a diagonal, but they are not a major diagonal. Now, the first major diagonal is 2 to 1 and 1 to minus 5. This is minus 5. And the second major diagonal will be 3 to 2 and 2 to 1. The third major diagonal will be minus 1 to 3 and 3 to 2. Those are the three major diagonals. So that my delta 0 will be the same thing as 3 times 1 times minus 5, that's minus 10. 3 times 2 times 1, that's plus 6, that's plus 6. Minus 1 times 3 times 2, that's minus 6. Now, minus, we'll now pick the major diagonal also from the other side. Now, we'll be picking minus 1 to 1, to 1, 2 to 2, to 2, then 3 to 3, to minus 5. Now, so that this becomes minus 1 times 1 times 1, that's minus 1. 2 times 2 times 2, that's plus 8. Minus 5, remember this place we had minus? Minus 5 times 3 times 3, that's minus 45. Then I close the bracket. So that my delta 0 is obviously the same thing as plus 6 and minus 6 gives way. This is left with minus 10, minus plus 8 and minus 1, that's plus 7, minus 45. That's the same thing as minus 37, minus 38, minus 38. So that delta 0 is the same thing as minus 10 plus 38, which is the same thing as plus 28. So that we can conveniently say that this determinant here is the same thing as 28. That's 28. The next thing we'll do is to now start solving for each of the x, the y, and the z. To solve for my x, I'll place my augmented part of my matrix here. I'll use it to replace the column for x. Now, here's the second determinant to help us find for x. Let's get solving it. So this will be the same thing as, that will be 4, 13, minus 11, 3, 1, 2, minus 1, 2, minus 5. I'll repeat these two columns. So that will be 4, 3, 13, 1, minus 11, and here is 2. Let's pick our major diagonals. Here's my first diagonal like we did in the other matrix. Now this will go to 13. Obviously for the second diagonal I didn't finish, that goes to 11, and this goes to 2. Now so that my delta 1 will come from 4 times 1 times minus 5, that's minus 20. 3 times 2 times minus 11, that's minus 66. That's 3 times 2 times, that's minus 66. And minus 1 times 13 times 2, that's minus 26. I can close this bracket. Minus, we'll have, this is minus 1 to 1 to minus 11. Here is 4 to 2 to 16. Then we have 3 to 13 to minus 5. So obviously this is minus 1 times minus 11, that's plus 11. Now here's 4 times 2 times 2, that's plus 16. And here is 3 times 13. 3 times 13 is 39, if I'm not mistaken. That will be 3 times 13 times 5. But that 5 is a negative 5. Oh, I was dividing. Here is 3 times 13 times 5. That's 195. 195. So that this is minus 195. Now let's sum everything up using my calculator. So that delta 1 will be the same thing as minus 20 minus 66 minus 26. That's 112. That's negative minus 112. Here is minus. Now here is 11 plus 16 minus 195. That's minus 168. Okay, so that's minus 168. Now so that my delta 1 is the same thing as minus 112 plus 168. So that we have this as minus 112 plus 168. That's 56. That's 56. From here, we know that my x now will come from delta 1 over delta naught. Our delta naught, we got delta naught to be the same thing as 28. Here's delta naught. We got delta naught to be the same thing as 28. So we can simply divide through. So this will be 56 divided by 28. So that my x value is 2. 56 divided by 28 is 2. Now let's look for y. I'll still come back here. To solve for y, we'll be replacing the second column, which is this column now. We're replacing it with the augmented part of the matrix. Next thing is to expand. We'll expand it again like we did previously. This will be 2, 3, 1, 4, 13, minus 11, minus 1, 2, minus 5, 2, 3, 1, 4, 13, minus 11. Now let's pick our diagonals. That the first diagonal will come from 2 to 13, 13 to minus 5, 2 to 4, and to 1, minus 1 to 3, and to minus 11. So that delta 2 now will be the same thing as 2 times 13 times minus 5, that's minus 130. 4 times 2 times 1, that's plus 8. Minus 1 times 3 times 11, that's plus 33. Minus, here is minus 1 into 13, 13 into 1, 2 to 2 to 11, and 4 to 3 to minus 5. So I have minus 1 times 13 times, that's minus 13. I have minus 1 times 13 times 1, that's minus 13. I have minus 11 times 2 times 2, that's minus 44. And I have minus 5 times 3 times 4, that's minus 60. That's minus 60. And let's use a calculator to sum it up. So that will come from minus 113 plus 8 plus 33. So that's delta 2 is the same thing as minus 89 minus, I have 13, sorry, that's minus 13, not just 13, negative 13. I have minus 13 minus 44 and minus 60. Minus 60. That's minus 117. That's minus 117. So that delta 2 will be the same thing as minus 89 plus 117. That will be the same thing as, we have negative 89 plus 117. That's equals to 28. So delta 2 also is 28. Now, if delta 2 is 28, obviously my y value will be the same thing as delta 2 over delta naught, which is equals to 28 over 28, which is equals to 1. So my y value should be 1. Let's look for the last, which will be our z. To solve for z, we'll do the same thing. We'll replace this last column with the augmented part of the matrix. So that will look like, now if you have followed me to this point, I'll advise you pause this video and try solving this matrix with the shortcut method yourself. Okay, let's get to it. So that this is delta 3 now, with the same thing as 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 4, 13, minus 11. Then we repeat the first two columns, we repeat them twice. This is 2, 3, 3, 1, 1, 2. Let's pick the diagonal. The first diagonal, second, and here is the third diagonal. So that my delta 3 will be the same thing as, 2 times 1 times minus 11, that's minus 22. 3 times 13 times 1, that's plus 39. And 4 times 3, that's 12. 12 times 2, that's plus 24. Now let's pick the second set of the diagonals. Second, and obviously the third. Now so that this is same thing as 1 times 4, that's 4, plus 2 times 2, 4 times 13. 4 times 13, that's 52. 13 times 4, that's 52. And minus 11 times 3 times 3, that's minus 99. So that delta 3 will be the same thing as, we have minus 22 plus 39 plus 24 equals to 41 minus, we have this to be 4 plus 52 minus 99. That's minus 43. Now, that's this delta 3 will now be the same thing as 41 plus 43, which is equals to 84. Now, so that my z now should be the same thing as delta 3 over delta naught, which is 84 over 28. 84 divided by 28, that should be 3, okay, which is equals to 3, which is equals to 3. That means our z is 3. Our z is 3. So that we got our x to be 2, y to be 1, and z to be 3. Will this help you understand how to solve a system of 3 by 3 equation using determinant?